Hello, losers. This is Rob Grundle. Rob reacts to his own life. One of my least favorite things to do in the world is write a bio, and I've had to write a ton of them throughout my entire life. I now work so that I never need to write my CV anymore because that's just... I can't stand CVs. But I still have to write a bio because if there is an occasion where someone's introducing me, they need to know who I am. Today I had to write a bio because I wanted to go onto more podcasts because I want to talk about the kind of work that I do. And so I had to write a bio for that. And reflecting on that, I think about every other bio that I've ever written and how imperfect they always are. I just never get the sense that they really get to see the fullness of me. Does that resonate? Is that something that you're familiar with? Is that something that you're familiar with? That's something you're familiar with? Now, what are all the reasons why writing a bio might be so hard? Okay, the first one, and the one which is absolutely going to kill you, is that you care what other people think. And as soon as that's in your head, you're done for. What will people think when I write this about myself? I better write myself small, or only this little part, or they'll only care about this bit of me. Whatever it might be, but that's going to kill you. Then so often I write a bio which is specific for a job, and so I'll only focus on one area of me. And then it just feels really single dimensional, literally. That it's just this part of me and there's all this other stuff which actually informs that small part, which I think is important for people to know. But I don't want to get too personal because that's not what you do in a bio. So I can see I'm a little worked up about this today. Today I'm just worked up. Deal with it. So today I wrote a bio and I think it's the most authentic bio I've ever written. I'm 38. And it goes like this. Rob Grundle, that's me, started out life in Australia and was homeschooled. He went to university and studied computing and became a software developer. Throughout his 20s, he realized that what things are made was far less interesting to him than how they were made. When he came to London after getting married, he did improv classes for the first time, which exposed him to techniques and a network of people that began to show him the kind of work he truly wanted to dedicate himself to. He started his people coaching story consultancy, some kind, just after he'd had his second child. With this vehicle, Rob runs storytelling events, large-scale change projects, and generally brings people together courageously with the tools so that they can make, create, and relate better. During all this time, Rob has been making music. 8 years ago, he started the three-piece band Unexpected Guests, and in recent years, he's been running a monthly open mic night called Imaginary Millions, which promotes openness, space, inclusivity, and true expression. He's released a bunch of records under different names and bands. Since he was 14, Rob has been involved in a Christian community, and when he was 35, he was given the pastorship of the London chapter of this community. Rob has always been willing to challenge Christian tradition and is always looking for an integration of it with the real-world challenges that we're faced with without ever resorting to platitude or judgment. Rob is a certified coach, a committed artist, loves reading Tom Robbins, William Gibson, and Anne Lamott, and listens to everything. He loves keeping a tab on popular culture by watching either the latest BTS performance on Saturday Night Live, as well as digging into the field recordings of Alan Lomax. If he wrote a book, which he will do one day, it would be called Everything is Everything. Now, what I'm going to do now is, as I was reading that, some of the words weren't right, some of it wasn't being expressed properly, so I'm now going to give you a quick edit of all the things as I was reading it that didn't sound right. Through his 20s, he'd realized Through his 20s, he realized that the how things were being made. Through his 20s, he's realized that the how things were made was far less important to him. Through his 20s, he realized that what things, coaching consultancy, some kind, when he started his He started his people coaching. He's released a bunch of records under different names and bands. Rob has always been willing to challenge the edges. Rob is a certified coach, a committed artist. Cool. So what I just learned there in this video, how important it is to read something through and read it through with the kind of energy that you actually wanted to convey on the page. It's getting there. I'm happy with it. It's a great start, and it definitely is. It actually shows all of who that I am. I'm curious. I also wrote a bio recently for my coaching website, robgrundle.com. I'm just going to read that out now and just see how that resonates compared to the bio I wrote this morning. My name is Rob, and I coach, among other things. I'm CTI certified and love coaching as long as it's with people who really want to put in the emotional and physical work. One of my favorite things to do is running Imaginary Millions, a music night that happens monthly in London, which is unlike anything I've seen anywhere else. My favorite description of it comes from an audience member who said it was a comedy festival church revolution. I write, I live in London, make music with my pop electronica duo Ugly, bring rooms and teams together with my change consultancy Some Kind, do yoga, talk about God, skate, make YouTube videos, draw, read, and live. I wish that I danced more. I'm just as happy with that bio. It's much more specific. It's about people who are thinking about using me for coaching. So it's really about understanding a little bit about the quality of human being who's going to come and coach you. The purpose of this other bio is much more broad, which is here's a sense of my life experience, and that if you bring me into a podcasting room, I'm going to be here's all the things that we could be talking about. It might go to Alan Lomax. There you go, bios. So much about how we write our bio comes back to how we tell the story of ourselves to ourselves and how much we're willing to show of that to other people. Challenge yourself on that. Stretch that. See what's the most wild and rich and dynamic bio you can write about yourself, and then think about downgrading it rather than the other way around. So I might start with this and start growing it. Have a think about that. All right. See you tomorrow.